Ladies and gents, have I had a really nice, enjoyable weekend. It's been peeing it down with rain, but I've still really enjoyed the fishing. And I've had two really nice matches to talk about. So what I thought I'd do, because I've not put a video up for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, I'll just do a little video, talk you through the matches, talk to you how I fished, because they're two totally different matches, and also talk to you about what else I've been up to. So let's start with yesterday. A really big match this was, and probably my focus of the year, because obviously we've not been able to go away this year. It was the Feederking final at Southfield Reservoir. Now, Southfield Reservoir is a really, really fair bream and skimmer venue. There's obviously little patches of fish, but when you look at the venue, the pegging is almost identical. Every 10 metres there's an angler. The bank's reasonably straight. The depths are always really consistent. And as far as bream venues goes, it's probably one of the fairest around. As I say, there's still little pockets of fish, but if you get it right, I'd like to think that you're going home with a little bit of money if you get it right. So I was driving up the motorway, really confident yesterday. I'd been there actually filming with Lee Kerry on Tuesday. I'd fished the open match on Wednesday. And I felt like I'd worked a few things out and got a bit in tune with the venue. So Southfield, for those that don't know it, usually is a 2-line job. The fish aren't at a mega distance. 50 metres is a good distance during the warmer months, and then you'll come shorter, sometimes catching as short as 15, 20 metres, something like that. But it's a feeder only match. 2 lines is usually the way to go because of the depth of the venue. It's so shallow that you've got to nick a fish off each line, because quite often when you catch a couple of fish, they spook, and if you're not careful, you're going to spook those fish. If you keep catching them, they're just going to go into someone else's peg. So nicking the odd fish off each line is the way to go. Because we're getting into a little bit of colder weather, I felt that those fish are just going to push out from the bank. So instead of having that short line at sort of like 25 metres, I've elected to have that short line at 40 metres and then another line at 50 metres. That 50 metre line was going to be my main line. But because I've been in the week and because I knew those fish were pushing even further out, I set up another rod for 60 metres. Now, I caught really well on the Wednesday match for the first half of the match. Those 2 lines, swapping between the 2 lines at 40 and 50 metres, were fantastic. Second half of the match though was a real downer. Just couldn't get a bite, and I knew that if I'd have gone longer I'd have caught some fish. And actually Dave Berry on my right that day did that, and it was great to see that. And I didn't do it purposely because I wanted to see if Dave Berry caught. I actually fed a short line that day because obviously I'm thinking of yesterday's final rather than actually winning that match. And Dave Berry caught a couple of fish late on to prove that long line was the way to go for later on in the session. So yesterday I've had a nice little run, sort of like 2 hours into the match, where I've caught a few fish, and with 2 hours to go I've got £5, £6 maybe, and then it's just gone totally dead. The wind's changed round, no one down our end caught any fish. We were in the low 30s, which were a real, that's where, if there was a bookie taking odds yesterday, that's where the winner was going to come from. Everyone thought the low 30s were going to be where the winner came from. But when that wind changed round, none of us could get a bite. I went to my 60 metres thinking I know what to do here, and even there I couldn't get a bite. I finished up catching 1 more fish in the last couple of hours, and to be honest, in our area that was good. No one really had any more bites in the last couple of hours. However, Steve Ringer further down the match started really slow. The wind changed round, he's gone longer. He knew the crack about catching fish longer. He's gone longer and he's put a load of fish in his net in the last 2 hours to win the match. You know, fantastic angler, knows what he's doing, obviously reacted really well. He'd had a practice session as well, so he knew the idea about going longer. Fair play to him. He's 10 grand richer. I actually went home with 250 quid for a split section. Not the end of the world, but it could have been more. A little bit of a downer because obviously I was so confident. But let me talk to you about the feeders and little tricks that you've got to do at Southfield. So the crack is small feeders, casting reasonably regular, obviously altering the times of your casting, but 5, 6, 7 minute casts are the way to go. Very rare you bore a fish on. So I've got a couple of the little feeders out that I used yesterday. Hope you can see there. These little Nisa rockets are absolutely fantastic. 5 square and a 4 square there. Beautiful little feeders. Obviously you can get your bait in there, just nip your bait in and the bait will come out on the surface if you want it to come out on the surface, or you can ram it in a little bit harder so most of it gets to the bottom. And then one of these little window feeders, if you just want to nick a fish with minimal feed, I find that cramming my bait in one of these little window feeders is spot on. So they cast like a bullet, so I think they just land probably a couple of foot further than these Nices. Obviously we're casting to a clip, but I think these bullets, these windows cast so nice that they land a little bit further, everything's straight, and I think you're just fishing a little bit more effectively, and they're a brilliant little feeder for just nicking a fish. So there, in 3 feeders, are my sort of like skimmer feeders, light bream skimmer feeders. On to today, because I've had a fantastic day today. The forecast was meant to be dry all day today, but it's actually hammered down all day. That doesn't matter, because earlier on in the year, a really good friend of mine sadly passed away. Really, really good friend, this guy, Steve Warner. I'd ring him 4 or 5 times a week, we'd go fishing together, really good mate of mine. And he's got a really big following in and around Leicestershire, and you know, all over the country I suppose, by a lot of old school anglers. His favourite place to go fishing was the local canal. So what a few of the lads have done is organised last minute a memorial match for Steve. Obviously circumstances this year have not been great, we've not been able to get loads of things off the ground, but last minute 50 blokes have turned up today for this memorial match, some really good anglers as well. Steve knew loads of good anglers, so it was really good. I've pulled in to the car park, because obviously drawing in at the minute, you can't draw your own pegs. Match organiser draws the peg. He's drew my peg, and it's actually a peg that me and Steve have pleasure fished before. So, you know, quite a few memories there as well. And it was on a marina mouth, just to the right of a marina mouth. And I've fished this peg before. I've actually won a match off this peg before in the past. So, a brilliant peg. I've turned up to the peg. I've had a great laugh with the people around me, because there's been 3 or 4 people around me that we know really well. We've had a great laugh. And I've caught loads of fish. Loads of little hand-sized skimmers, about 6 ounce to 10 ounce. Fantastic net of fish. The crack was today to fish as long as I could and have 2 lines. Same as really at Southfield yesterday. Have 2 lines, because those skimmers, you can't hammer them. You can't keep catching one after another. And what I was doing today is fish 16 metres, 1 line really tight to the far bank, 1 line in the open water right in front of the marina mouth, and feed a little tiny ball of ground bait. And when I say a little tiny ball of ground, I'm talking like the size of a marble, a really tiny ball of ground bait, crammed with a tiny bit of mince chop worm after every single skimmer. So it's hard work. What I would do is I'd ship out, hopefully hook a skimmer, pay the fish back, 16 metres remember, mould a little tiny ball, put it in my little pot, ship out, feed that little ball on that line where I've just caught that skimmer from, and then go to my other line and repeat the process. So catch fish there, feed a little ball of ground bait. Now ground bait mix for today, because we're on the canal, it's not fish meal for me, especially this time of year. Maybe the height of summer and on a canal that sees loads of pellets and loads of carp anglers. This canal isn't that canal. It's the Grand Union that runs through Market Harbour, sort of Northamptonshire way. It's not that canal, it's more of a natural venue canal. So ground bait mix for me is some brown crumb and a little bit of bream. And the bream is this stuff. Shiny bag, you might not be able to see it. The bream is quite it's quite a stiff ground bait. So when I add that little bit of minced up worm to it, it sticks together and it's almost like a little blob of paste when I'm cupping it in. So it gets to the bottom, really soft. Skimmers and bream love that sort of ground bait, a ground bait that you can mix into like a paste or a putty-like consistency, and that fits the bill perfectly. I've ended up with £15 of fish, like I said, a fantastic net of fish. Obviously I was on a flyer, everyone knows I was on a flyer. I think £6 was second in the match, so that tells you how good the peg was. And we get back, find out I've won it, I get my little trophy, that Steve would have loved that little trophy. I think he'd be rolling around loving that little trophy. Picture of Steve, I've got loads of pictures of Steve, but a nice picture there, Steve celebrating. And that will go in my office on the trophy cabinet. Really pleased to have won that today. Fantastic result. What I want to talk to you about is why I haven't been uploading as many videos. Obviously, so busy with my fishing. Been trying to fish as many matches as possible. I've been catching loads of fish as well. I've been really enjoying it. But my filming days have been taken up with another project that me and Lee Kerry have been working on. Throughout the summer, we've been working on a new angling academy. It's a website, and we're trying to cover all aspects of fishing really, and match fishing. Our group coaching sessions, obviously with all this COVID, we couldn't run any group sessions this year. And I mentioned to Lee, I said to Lee, there's still people wanting to have these group sessions. Why don't we do something online where instead of coming out for a day, which is obviously a little bit risky, a lot risky I suppose, they can watch it and we'll cover everything in detail. So what we do is we take it in turns to sit on the box, and I'll interview Lee, Lee will interview me, we'll pick each other's brains on each specific venue and each specific method. And I think we're creating really comprehensive coaching style videos. So if you want a day's coaching, but obviously you don't want to fork out the amount of money it is for a day's coaching, you can have a look at these videos. They're a £5. I mean, what's a £5 now? You subscribe to the videos for a £5, you get a video every month. There's going to be competitions for subscribers, there's going to be other deals as well for subscribers throughout the years, revolving around maybe coaching days and other little things and bits and bobs that we're doing. So it's well worth a look. Having said that, now the fishing's starting to slow down for me personally. I'm still going to be out doing those Angling Academy videos, but also more stuff will be going on the old YouTube. My midweek matches, they're basically non-existent now. So that day that I used to go fish a midweek match, I'll be going out, shooting a video for the old YouTube channel and hopefully getting more stuff for you guys. So a brilliant weekend for me, a little catch up there, and until next time, tight lines.